You don't need to have a celebrity spokesperson. You can be just pouring candles on Etsy. You could have one small brick and mortar store. You can be a very small fish in a big pond. And so what matters is not the popularity contest of it all. It's not about how many followers you have. It's just simply, do you have a product or products that fit for that season?
Welcome back to the Richer Retailer. I'm so glad you're here because today's guest is a woman who, oh my gosh, the two of us care so much about you and about your success. And she is a total powerhouse, really, when it comes to getting independent retailers, getting store owners, getting small businesses seen, heard, and valued without spending a single dollar on ads or on hiring fancy PR agencies. She's got it all here. And she's so generous and giving. I'm telling you right now, go follow Gloria Chou everywhere because on Instagram, she's always posting PR leads for you. And we're going to get into, and she's going to tell us why you want them. Thank you so much for being here, Gloria. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, Cathy.
Gosh, I want to start out with the very obvious question because I shouldn't know. I didn't know it at first either. PR versus marketing. What?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And now with influencers and bloggers, like it's really kind of muddy. Raise your hand if you've gotten those scammy DM texts that's like, I'll get you featured in a random 40 under 40, fees apply, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about earned organic PR that gives you not only credibility, but it also gives you that powerful SEO backlinks. And that's what we want, right? We want to work smarter and not harder. So I always say marketing is you talking about you. So that's you on Instagram, that's you doing ads, blogs, markets. PR is your industry talking about you. And one of the best ways to differentiate yourself from a big box brand is to get that third party stamp of approval by being in like, a House Beautiful or a Refiner 29 or an Oprah's Favorite Things or something that is earned media where you're not necessarily paying the journalist because that would be an ad, but they're recommending you on a gift guide or a product recommendation or best things to pack for your, next trip. The reason why it's so powerful is that it simultaneously checks all the boxes, and the buying intent of someone who's reading an article like that is like 10 times higher than a random person on Instagram who may or may not ever buy from you. So I always challenge you to think, okay, PR traditionally has been very gate kept and it's been very expensive, so and unaccessible. Today, we're going to talk about how to make that accessible, and it's going to transform the way you think about your business and how you can get more people to your store.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that sounds like exactly what we need because it's so difficult to stay on top of all the social media, how it's always changing, and to be able to get other people to talk about me. I mean, that's a dream come true. Gloria, come and make my dreams come true. Tell me what I need to do.
So I will start off by saying what I'm sharing with you is it could be very radical. It could be something that is like, oh, I never thought about it that way. And if it seems like it's an awkward thing for you to like, connect with journalists, it's totally normal. It's because the PR industry has monetized and made it really shrouded in secrecy and complexity. But at its core, PR is not very difficult. Journalists are looking for content 24/7. They need to churn out content. And I speak to a lot of journalists, especially around the Q4 gift guides, and they're like, we are churning out multiple stories every day, and we need to fill those stories and content pipeline with products to recommend. So you're actually doing them a favor. And that's the first thing you need to know is that you're not begging them on their golden thrones, right? It's a symbiotic relationship. The journalists need content. They need to discover new indie brands. And think about it this way. If the journalists were only writing about big box brands, they probably would get really stale and boring and we would stop reading their articles, right? So we need the journalists to discover new brands, and that's where you come in. So that's the first thing, is that you are actually doing them a favor. The second thing you need to know is that you don't need to be a super established big box brand with thousands of followers. You don't need to have a celebrity spokesperson. You can be just pouring candles on Etsy. You could have one small brick and mortar store. You can be a very small fish in a big pond. And so what matters is not the popularity contest of it all. It's not about how many followers you have. It's just simply, do you have a product or products that fits for that season? And I think a lot of times, we're really used to marketing our benefits and features and talking to the customer, but the journalist is not going to buy from us. And so we need to just take a step back when we are connecting with journalists, and we're not so much selling them, we're more recommending products that, customers already want. So instead of pitching benefits and features, you want to pitch in terms of the trends of the news cycle. So that could be seasonality. It could be back to school fall favorites. It could be what's trending on TikTok or social media. It could be what's happening in this moment. So it's about thinking about what consumers are wanting and how can you solve a problem for that. So I probably wouldn't pitch a really warm, fuzzy sweater for the summer, and I wouldn't pitch a really rich luxury cream in the summer either, right? So that's what I mean by pitching with seasonal relevance, with the holiday trends, and with what consumers are wanting right now.
But then why are they going to listen to me? Why would I call someone and tell them about this great brand I found when they could just go to the brand directly?
Well, I mean, first of all, you get SEO backlinks. So if you have an e-commerce site, right? If I'm reading that article, it's so much easier for me to click on the article and then shop directly.
Oh,
So with
so you're
a
saying they would still buy from me. So it's not like the journalist is then going to take my idea and then go to the brand. I'll still
no.
get credit for the idea.
Yeah, well, you're the one pitching it. So why would they
Got
then
it.
cite someone else, right? That's
Mhm.
not journalism. So if you're citing it and you're saying my store carries XYZ, we have a lot of people in our PR program, they don't make their own products, but they maybe curate boxes. They're still going to link back to your website. So whether it's a home decor box, whether it's a gift for hostess with the mostest, or even a gift for the newly divorced friend in your life, there's so many different angles to do that. And so when we think about all the different buckets of PR, which by the way, a lot of small businesses don't think it's available to them because the PR agencies are so expensive, but there are opportunities year round to get featured, not just Q4. I think a lot of times we think, oh, it's just Christmas, right? Absolutely not true. There's gifts for her, gifts for him, gifts for grandpa, gifts for pets. Like I said, gifts for the newly divorced friend in your life, gifts for the maximalist, gifts for the minimalist. It could be gifts for fall colors. So that's what I mean by thinking about how you can take one product or a suite of products, but position them in different ways. And I'll give you a quick tip. If you make something that is like a lotion or a serum, maybe a one standalone lotion is not going to be a great Mother's Day gift, but then that's when you would come in with like the bundles. So do you have any seasonal bundles? Do you have any curated fall items perfect for that season? That would be perfect for a gift. If you have something that is home decor, that could simultaneously work for not only home office, it could work for a housewarming gift. It can also work for a back to college, back to dorm. So I just want you to expand your horizon in terms of what buckets of stories that you qualify for. And a lot of times it's a lot more than just what you actually think. So one product can get featured multiple times.
Mm-hmm. I got it. I see what you're saying. Well, and I think that it is true that people don't think of doing it because, like, I didn't know what journalism was. I generally thought that they wouldn't ever care about something, and the journalist would just say, "Oh, thank you very much," and then they would go and call that brand. So I didn't appreciate that was so valuable. So what I'm hearing you say is that you would suggest to them you're going to talk about what your best sellers are. That's pretty much what it is. We call them our never, you're never out of. That's what you're going to approach them about, correct?
Bestsellers could be one of them, but I always start with, so I have a CPR pitching method. And again, Cathy, I've never worked a day in my life in any agency. So I had zero contacts. I had no connections in PR. And I actually was an outsider dialing the newsroom operator at the New York Times, picking up the phone with sweaty palms and just cold pitching. And from cold pitching these unknown clients with tiny followings and getting them onto the New York Times and BuzzFeed and Forbes and Vogue, I started to realize a couple things, which is what I told you, is that journalists don't care about necessarily your following. They just want to know, is this product right for the season? So that's really what I mean by that. And once you know that, you can put a pitch together and just send it to the right person. PR is really at its core writing a relevant pitch and sending it to the right person. And if you can put the two and two together, and there's a lot of software that can help you do that, send emails en masse, but then personalize it, it becomes a system and you can constantly get featured. So let's talk about the first part, which is writing a relevant pitch. I touched upon it earlier. It's not about a brochure or sending them a marketing pamphlet. It's about here's why this, fall favorites are perfect for what consumers are wanting. Here's why this is, whatever that is, whether it's a gift for her, gift for him, like I said, graduation or a trend, right? That's what I mean by relevant pitch. And my pitching framework, CPR, stands for credibility, point of view, and relevance. And you want to have all three things in your pitch. So let's boil it down. If I were to write a cold pitch, I would have a subject line that's very specific. It's not going to be something gimmicky like, Nicole, I have a coupon code for you. No, it's going to be fall favorites for the sustainable yogi in your life, like whatever that is, right? You see how it almost reads like
Mm-hmm.
an article title. It's specific to who it is and what it's for and what bucket of demographic that is for. And then in the pitch, I always start with R in relevance because what is news if it's not relevant? So you want to start with the relevance, which usually is the season or what people are looking for or what's trending, right? So if you make makeup, I know that Sophia Richie had a really splashy wedding and her, modern minimalism style was like all the rage. And so from makeup to hair to bridal, that was the trend. So think about what's happening right now. And you have so many AI tools that can help you think about this so that you don't even have to think and brainstorm from scratch. One of my favorite tools that has cut my time with doing PR down by 90% is Perplexity. Perplexity is a Google search tool, I think better than Google search, for real-time information gathering. Perplexity is free. You can literally go to Perplexity and say, I am a maker of XYZ. I have a store that carries these products. Here's my website, and it will actually crawl through your website. Tell me about the recent trends this year that are happening in this niche that journalists would care about, and give me a side-by-side comparison about the strengths of these trends with data to back it up. Boom. Perplexity gives you a table of all of the trends, whether it's from Pantone Color of the Year, whether it's from what's most searched in Etsy. And then you start to have that relevance already done for you. And then you don't even have to think about it. You put that into your CPR pitch. Maybe it's one or two paragraphs in the beginning. And P in CPR stands for point of view. So that's usually bullet points about why your product or products fits with that relevance that you just searched up using Perplexity. And then you just quickly, say like, here's my products, here's where you can find it, here's the shipping, and here's the cost. If you have a sample, you can offer that. You can say, I'm happy to send a sample. Let me know. So that's really kind of how you would wrap it up, right? The credibility part maybe would have, how you're a bestseller at flea markets, or how maybe you've, won some local awards, whatever that is. And that's the CPR method. That's really the structure of a golden pitch. Do not attach your brochure. Do not attach large attachments. Please do put one or two photos embedded into the pitch, though. That's good. And then just use hyperlinks. Here are some more photos. Here's how you can find it. Here are 5 ways to wear this travel scarf. Boom. That is really the golden pitch. Now let's talk about the second part of PR, because remember, PR is writing a relevant pitch, which I showed you with the CPR method, and sending it to the right person. So a lot of times people are like, well, who's going to cover this? I don't know. It's not going to be the editor at Forbes or the editor at Vogue. It's going to be the person who's covering products. So what you want to look for when you're on social media is someone that has the title commerce or shopping writer or editor. Someone who has that in their title is in the position of recommending products to their people. And so there's a couple free tools you can use as well to start to make your own database of journalists. One of them is Google News Alert. Google News Alert is free, and you can type in your industry and it'll ping you with all of the articles about your industry. And you can literally copy and paste the first and last name and their email into your own ever expanding media database. Obviously, we have that in our program too, but you can start doing this kind of grassroots, right? Another thing you can sign up for to know what journalists are writing about are two things. You can sign up for HARO, which stands for Help a Reporter Out. So that's helpareporter.com. And you can sign up at sourceofsources.com. Those are free websites that aggregates journalists who are looking for people and products to feature that day, that week. And it's so easy to just respond to one of them because it tells you in the listing, here's what I'm writing for, here's my email, here's the deadline, and here's what I need. And we had so many people get featured just responding to that. The third free tool, first one was Google News Alerts. Second one is HARO and Source of Sources. The third one is Substack. So Substack is a blogging platform. It's an absolute treasure trove to find product-focused journalists who are writing articles. And if you follow their Substack, they will literally tell you, hey, I am writing this roundup for back to school office essentials for apartment therapy. Here's my email. Here's the deadline. Boom. So those are all really amazing free ways that you can start to find out who's writing about your product or niche. And you just put the two and two together and press and start to send. We had people, who got featured 6 times within 30 days just using these free tools.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, so if I'm sitting here feeling like you've done a great job, Gloria, you've made it seem very simple, very easy. How can I really get started? Like, is it the kind of thing that it's best to spend like an hour a week at, or what would you recommend? How do you tell people to get started?
First thing is watch my free PR training. And I had people get featured just watching it. So you can go to Gloria Chou, pr.com/masterclass. That's Gloria CHOU pr.com/masterclass. It walks you through exactly the do's and don'ts and how to structure your pitch. But now, honestly, with Perplexity and ChatGPT, it's never been easier to get a pitch out and ready within 5 minutes. So definitely use that. I would start with installing a Google News Alert so that you can start to train your brain in terms of the headlines and article lines that are about your industry. The second thing is after watching my PR masterclass is go on Perplexity and just start to prompt it with what I said. I am a store that carries XYZ. Here are our best sellers. What are the recent trends with data backed sources and citations you can give me that I can use to pitch to a journalist to get featured? And then those are some really easy and low lift free ways that you can start to think in terms of, oh, so these are the stories that journalists are writing already. All I have to do is just get in front of them.
Right. Yeah, it does certainly make it very simple. And you guys, we'll put all these links and whatever in our show notes just to make sure that you can get them that way too. And you've had people have had incredible success with this, right?
Oh yeah, like I said, we have people get 6 features in 30 days. We have people, their very first pitch is their first feature. So it's never been an easier to do PR because with all the free tools, with Substack, with the ways that you can find it, and then also with Perplexity and ChatGPT, you don't even have to brainstorm from scratch. You don't have to write from scratch. You don't have to think, oh, what are some of the angles? It does it all for you. And so having this AI workflow, which is what we teach in the program as well, for people who are busy, because we're all so busy, honey, you can brainstorm, ideate, and write a pitch in 5 minutes, which is like absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's funny because I was about to say that I could just imagine the person listening saying, I just don't have time in the world. But 5 minutes, I mean, that's the thing. And so it also really sounds like, well, what I know is that people will always go to what's easiest for them, right? So we've finally learned how to do reels. Not finally, it's been years now, but you know what I'm saying? So people are doing reels now. And so rather than spending the time to do a reel, I should just make sure that I'm sitting down and just taking a shot at PR.
Yeah, and here's the thing about social media. I love what you said that I think a lot of times we're so trained to do a certain thing. And so it's social media, social media, social media. It's hard to actually think outside of that. But if you step away a little bit and think, what is something that's going to give me way more ROI for my time? It's PR because with one podcast feature, with one gift guide feature, I can repurpose that into a reel or a videogram or, a carousel post. And so I would rather do that all day than make content native for Instagram that we know for a fact the algorithm is not even showing to the right people.
There's so much more ROI for spending time on PR than there is for spending time on social media. That is certainly true. But we just think, oh, well, where's my phone? I've got to go make got to add to my story. And we all know how it takes more time than we think. If you could spend 15 minutes on your CPR process, if you did that 3 times a week, 40, I mean, that's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with ads, I'm not saying that there's not a place for social media. I think that's great for engaging with people. But in terms of top of funnel, ads have increased 400% year over year. We know that as a fact, right? And so, unless you have unlimited budget, which a lot of us don't, ads are just really not sustainable. You can easily spend $3,000-$4,000 in ads before you see anything. And what I would rather do is get a press feature and then turn that into an ad. And at the same time, not only are you doing ads, but then you're building that credibility and you get SEO. And in the age of AI, because I do believe it's evolving so rapidly, where AI is going to be our main search engine. So you're going to see people typing directly into ChatGPT, typing directly into Perplexity. How are you going to show up? And a lot of that AI algorithm pulls from the SEO. It's not going to be from your Instagram. And it's not going to be from your ads. I had so many people come find me actually by searching for me in ChatGPT because of all the SEO backlinks from my PR links. So as we evolve into kind of an AI first search engine, the only thing that's going to get you searchable is those backlinks.
Wow, that's a really great point. I hadn't even thought about that. That is so true because yeah, when you Google anything now, the AI stuff is what comes up first. I mean, it's amazing how much time and energy people spend doing blogs and backlinking, and adding all that SEO. And again, to your point, and I want to make sure that this is clear to all of you, is that no, this is all important, and you already know that you can do this. It's just a matter of doing something that feels a little uncomfortable because you know how to do a story, you know how to do a reel. So you would just go do that. But this, you're going to get so much return on your investment in time by investing, at least 3 15-minute times a week in doing this. Like, it's incredible to think how long-term, and it's a long-term game. It doesn't matter if the first 9 times you send something out, it doesn't happen. All that matters is that the one time it does. Isn't that true?
Yeah, and it's a compounding effect, right? Because a lot of people are like, "Oh, why didn't I start this earlier?" And social media is the same thing. You're just getting way more ROI with with a press feature because just one will literally boost you in the search rankings. So I've
Mm-hmm.
never done any SEO for my own business. I've never hired an SEO person. They are very expensive. Their work is great, but I just haven't done it. I haven't added like, mega tag descriptions. But
Mm-hmm.
people have found me, and my domain ranking is actually quite high just from writing on, and leveraging my PR wins alone. That my
Wow.
actual domain score is actually quite high, having done like zero SEO work.
Wow. And you're right. In the time, it'd be so much better. You'd get so much more impact and credibility from doing that reel or that story about your PR. But what about the PR
Mm.
you got? That's so fascinating. That hadn't even occurred to me either. I am so grateful for your time and so grateful for these gems that you've shared. One last question for you. But before I ask that question, I was just wondering, is there anything else you'd like to say, or is there any other question that you wish people would ask you that they don't ask?
I think a lot of people are like, oh, I need to find the best time to do PR. It's like
Mm,
it's not another thing to add to your plate. It's really the foundation for everything. We know for a fact from doing small business surveys, this is research backed, by the way, that businesses that stay stuck under 100K in revenue are focused mainly on social media, and the ones that break past 500K to a million are focused on multi-channel visibility. And so that means podcasts, speaking, PR, gift guides. So that's actually data backed. And so I know a lot of times you want to find the right moment, or you're launching or you're evolving, but like those SEO links will still work for you after you've evolved, right? It's still going to go back to your website. All this to say is that everything you want is on the other side of the send button. So just get
mm.
comfortable pressing that send button. What's the worst that can happen is they say no, but the upside of them possibly featuring you is like 100 times like an upside than just that 1 second rejection of them saying no.
So
So if you
true.
are an objective person, just from a statistical point of view, I would rather play that game and roll that dice all day because the upside is so high, and
Yeah.
just the momentary rejection, like I'll get over it. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal. If they just
No,
don't
right.
respond, so what?
Right. That's so true. And honestly, any effort you make to put together that pitch, you can still also use that same information to put together the social media, post or whatever
Yes.
it was you're going to do. So that's really
Yeah.
true. I love that. That PR should really be the basis of all of this. Yeah. I cannot wait to bring you to my people even more, because they totally, totally need this. Thank you, Gloria. But before you go, one last thing. So in our world, we always talk about a milli, and a milli moment is a time when you achieve something in your business that felt extraordinarily, that you're like, gosh, it maybe it's costing $1 million, but it's not necessarily that. It's about like, gosh, I did that. Gives you this sense of pride and inspiration. And I would love for you to share, what's your milling moment and how has it impacted your journey?
Oh, this is such a good question. I think it's not a moment, but the most sacred and highest work I am here to do is letting go of that scarcity. A lot of it comes from generation. Like my mom and grew up in communist China. She didn't have running water, electricity in her house. So growing up, I had this deep rooted scarcity of like, it's never going to be enough, right? So I kept chasing whatever that number was. And I realized there's no amount of, money in my bank account that would make me feel safe. And I started to do a lot of work around somatics, letting go and healing that. And now my business feels so different because before it was this never ending chase of more, more, more. And now I've created this spaciousness where I can actually write emails from a creative space where I am actually finding the time to meet people in your life and having DM conversations, even if they never buy from me. And I think in this day and age where we all have digital spidey senses, we're so good at assessing people out. People can tell your intention. And it
Mhm,
feels really good to be able to give from a place of no expectation, to genuinely want to help people for
mhm.
free. And I think the people who are really good at helping people for free are the people that are going to succeed in this day and age. I don't gatekeep anything. I'm not like, oh, I'll show them the, what do they say? It's like show them the what, but not the how. No, people watch my PR masterclass and get featured all day. They never buy from me, and I really do believe that that is the karmic cycle of abundance when you
Mhm.
can truly lean into that trust that like you're here to do work. You're not here to gatekeep anything. Help people for free as much as you can, and the right people will say yes. And it's actually I've proven it because my business is now where I'm having people come out of the woodworks to want to work with me because they said that my content just feels different. It feels lighter. It feels more abundant. And people buy now, not because of authority and expertise. They buy because of your values. They buy because there's a psychological safety that is created. And so I'm really happy that I've been able to create that with my content.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And what we do is being experts. There's so many experts, and you and I can sometimes recognize the true value of those experts. No, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. It just is true. Anyway, my point just is that it is really wonderful to hear another woman talk about how much she wants to help people break their cycle and to be that best version of themselves. You're going to change the world doing this, Gloria. You know that. I'm your hype girl. I want you to know I'm in your corner. I'm so impressed with what you've done. Thank you so very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cathy.
All right, bye, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And don't hesitate to share this with anyone else who you feel like knows that they need this help to increase their business, to be able to help more people, to be able to impact more people. And they could be your accountability buddy. You could have someone else do it with you. How fabulous would that be? Again, thank you so very much. You guys know that you are astonishingly fabulous and you are loved. Bye-bye.